Hello and welcome. Thank you for being here. I am Dr. Alexis, and this is
Andy Black.
Yeah. So Andy's my best friend, and she's also the facilitator for these experiences. Thanks for being here. You are here because we're going to do some channeling. So who here is familiar with channeling? Most everybody. Is there anyone who is not familiar? Okay. So we'll talk a little bit about what that is. There's a lot of different forms of channeling. So channeling essentially has to do with information coming through. For me, my definition of channeling has to do with energetics and information and or consciousness coming through the form and coming through the nervous system, not just in the peripheral awareness. Different people talk about it different ways, but that's the difference for me. So we all have abilities to notice information, and we have all of like clairsenses and psychic abilities and all of that sort of thing. Often, not always, that has to do with experiencing the external and peripheral to yourself. Does that make sense? And then the difference being with channeling is it's coming through. And so sometimes people will talk about, when we have divine inspiration as something being channeled, and that very well could be. For me, is it information that's coming outside or inside? And the cool thing is that there's actually not a hierarchy to this. It isn't that channeled information is better than noticing external. The difference is going to be is how much is our human involved with the interpretation of the information. And what's really cool is that when information is channeled, there's often a less interference of our human selves with it. Okay. So that's the channeling, right? And so I am a trance channel, meaning that the information, for me, I work with a being named Simon. I only work with Simon. Simon, you have my book there, so you'll know once you read it. So I wrote a book about 4 years ago, and that's actually when I started trance channeling. So I've been working with Simon about 9 years, and we have worked together in all of our lifetimes. So he talks about us as being binary stars. So when we differentiated from source, we did so at the same time, and we always stay in orbit of one another. So that's what binary stars always stay in orbit of one another. And so regardless of what experiences, who's incarnated, who's doing what, there's always that connection with each other. So I channel so that we can work together, where a lot of other people, they channel for other reasons. It's all as long as of an expansive purpose and intention, it's all good. But for us, it's kind of like if you had a best friend or a sibling across the country, you'd do anything to be able to communicate with them. Like you build a telephone, you do whatever you need to be able to connect with them, right? And so it's the same thing with us. And so what that means for me is that my nervous system has gotten tuned to be able to communicate. 4 years ago, I did not know. I was writing the book, and my publisher said to me, like, but he can just talk through you, right? Like Abraham Hicks. And I actually I know of Abraham, but I hadn't really watched it or gone. I had a friend who invited me to go see them, and I just never went. And I hadn't, prior to me trance channeling, I really wasn't exposed to a whole lot of channeling. I was aware that it was a thing. I knew about it. I grew up in a really spiritual household. My dad practices an African religion, and so I was around very non-ordinary things. And so the mystical was normal, and it was, I was just knew that was it. So we started channeling with Simon. I've been doing that for 4 years. And we also have an energy healing modality called the expansion principle, and it's similar to Reiki. The difference is that Reiki is energetic life force, has to do with this dimensional consciousness, and the expansion principle is not of this earth, it's not of this dimension, it's in an energy that comes through and allows for there to be changes. And so we all know, we've been working with the same energy for a long time here on earth, and it is time for us to have additional resources. And so that's part of what the expansion principle does. Without further ado, I think does anybody have questions? Thoughts?
The same questions. No?
Can I move there so these guys
You absolutely can.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
I love it.
Yeah. You can just move. So you can move a chair and just you don't even have to sit in that corner if you want to sit just right
Wherever
there. It's
you
perfect.
want.
Yeah. Perfect.
Ask Simon for me a question.
Yeah.
What is happening on April 8th?
Okay.
What is
talking before. I was talking to the girls out there, and I was saying, I did all the stuff, and you answered almost everything already.
Oh, did you? Oh, good. That's
Perfect.
probably why I said it all. Because you put your questions out into the field, and I was like, oh, here, let's answer.
Right? It's just funny how that works.
I love that.
I
So,
love that.
yeah, that's great. Was there anything else that you thought of that I didn't cover?
Oh, I don't know. I know I'm on the spot. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you think of
Sorry.
anything else, you can ask. But those are the main things: understanding what channeling is, my definition of it.
Oh yes, I know. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So can I check? Let me see how to put the word. Can anybody can be a channeler? Can Simon come to me?
So that's the question that has been asked but not asked. So people have asked but not asked. They like ask. I'm probably not the one to answer that.
Oh.
I mean, we can say anybody can channel
Yeah.
if you worked at it and that was an intention that you wanted to do. Everyone has the ability, and we channel in a lot of different ways every day. And we don't even put the word channel to some of the things
Right.
that we do. But when we get an inspiration to go do something, that could be a download of information. That could be considered a channel, right? Sometimes I'll be doing something around the house, and maybe I've had a problem that's been bothering me, and so I've been putting it out there that I want a solution, and then suddenly I get a solution. People can feel like they can put the word channel to some of that. Now, what Alexis does is a lot different because she's, communicating with being in another dimension, right? To have the words right with this. But whether or not Simon can come through to other people, it's hard to know that because they're connected.
They're connected. That's right.
But that doesn't mean
That it's not possible.
that it's not possible. Yeah, because anything is. So I don't know if that answers your question
So
enough.
Simon's exclusive to you.
Like, do you have a Simon, or that specific Simon, or do you?
Well, no, I'm just
I think she's speaking specifically to
Yeah.
Simon.
Your Simon.
I think that's what
To
she's
this
asking.
Simon.
Yeah.
And you're saying everyone can have a Simon.
Everyone can have a Simon, and I like that. Everybody could, because you're connecting with, with that. Now, in her case, go ahead, because I know what you're gonna say. I'll let you insert on that. No, yeah. I was gonna say because some could be guides and some could be,
Yeah, and I think that's a really
That's
good
where I was
point,
gonna
right?
be. Yeah.
You want to say
No, go for it.
So I think that's a really good point. The differentiation, because we're in this conversation, the differentiation between guide and Brad and I were talking beforehand, and he used the word partner, and that's a really good reference for it because there is a difference. There are energies, there are beings that are guides, that their mechanism, their job, for lack of a better word, is to help guide us. And some of that has to do with, those chosen experiences before we come and all of that sort of thing. Sometimes we, in this lifetime, we'll connect with an energy or a deity or whomever, whom there's an affinity, right? And so there's that guiding kind of energy, which is really, to me, the purpose of that is for assisting us in our life and that sort of thing. And it's very centered on us and our experience, even if that assists us with what we're doing, right? Where a partnership is where you're in a relationship with a being or in an energy, and it is more collaborative, right? And so that they're both parties, yourself and them, are doing something together, where Simon isn't really guiding me per se, although his guidance is sometimes helpful for me. It's a different kind of energetics, I think, is the way the tell me.
Sorry, Simon's using you. You're doing things for Simon, and Simon's doing things for you in a partnership. Versus a guide is more unidirectional.
You know what? I think that's my understanding and my sensation of it. I'm open to other interpretations, but for me, yeah, that's a great way to put it. It is more unidirectional, the relationship with the guide. Yes, we can have gratitude for our guide and all those sorts of things, but there isn't. And this brings, I love this conversation today. This brings up the point also about our spiritual development process, right? And our energetic and vibrational development process of our consciousness. And so again, remember, all these things, they're not hierarchical. It's not about like one person. It's not like in school where this person did this or that it's not like that. You know, it is all beautiful and perfect however it is, right? And so just like my brain got distracted. It's a really beautiful thing to just notice the differentiations. And so having to do, and I remember now, having to do with our evolutionary process, like our soul's evolutionary process, that's where how much impact vibrationally can we have on the guide, for example. That might not be where it is. Like that isn't where that is sourced. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that relationship isn't meaningful for the guide as well, because I would say on a soul level it likely is meaningful as well, but the exchange is different, right? It's very much like, do I want to use this example loosely? A teacher and their students, right? They can be a great impact that the teacher has on the students, and a great impact that the students have on the teacher, but it's different, right? But yeah, that unidirectional was a great way to put that. Thanks for that. That language is great. And when you're in partnership, it's just a different kind of exchange. Everyone has guides. My understanding is that everyone has guides. It's and I do feel that they are there assisting whether or not we're aware of it or not. I do feel it really is helpful to come into a greater relationship with that, but not everyone is meant to. And what I mean meant to, I don't mean it like in a control, there's only one way for things to be, but what I mean is that not everything is necessary for every person for their growth, like where they're at, you know? So if we go a whole lifetime and never discover something, it is possible that wasn't the intention of that experience, to discover that thing. And that's loose, right? Like there's very few things that I will say is only probably one of the only things is sovereignty. I don't think we're all sovereign, and I don't think violating sovereignty, I don't think anyone could ever convince me that a violation of sovereignty is going to be something that is positive or effective, you know. But other than that, I will definitely not really speak in absolutes in general. Yeah.
I had a question.
Yes.
When you and Simon differentiated from source, is that source the only source? Is it all the universe's source?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So for us, yes. We actually have a course called Origin where I go into that more deeply. It's a really good course. I teach a lot. I have lots of courses. I have the Expansion Principle Practitioner training, and then we have additional courses where it's all kinds of information. I mean, just about anything you can think of, there's a course on it that we have. But this one is particularly amazing because we talk about that, where there is a source energy, like, you know, there just is, you know, and what that has to do with is that interconnection and that oneness consciousness for me is the same as source, right? And so for us, there is a differentiation, and you can see this in a lot of human religions. Most human religions talk about this differentiation. They don't always talk about it that then we have however many lives we want to have, right? They don't always, you know, but there is often this concept that there is a consciousness that we're all part of, right? I know the question that people then want to ask, well, what is the source of that consciousness? And, you know, I do feel like sometimes there's things that aren't as necessary to answer for me. I know for other people that I know that you're one of those people that just wants, you know, I'm not built that way. I'm like cool with whatever presents itself. I'm kind of cool with what my understandings are in the moment. But that's a really great question. So yes, our understanding is that yes, we all differentiate. And so I didn't differentiate as Alexis. So this is where the origin concept comes in. So the concept, will you remind me that I need to write that book? Sure. Okay. So the concept of origin is that we have, so time is not linear. We know that, right? Time is not linear. And we have this understanding that there's the evolving now. Again, most earth religions talk about the now, right? But it's an evolving now. because the now in this moment is a now that was different than this moment than it was 2,000 years ago. I know that this seems a little odd because then it's like, well, Alexis, are you talking about linear time? Well, no, because there's if expansion is the natural state of consciousness, that means that the now has to evolve. It can't not evolve, because if it doesn't evolve, then that doesn't mean that's not expansive. It can't be expansion and not like, so for me, the now is this evolving now. And when we just have the now where everything is, and that's just that's static. My understanding of that is that it's static. There is an evolving now. And within the evolving now, there is a moment where each of us differentiated from that collective consciousness, that oneness experience, right? And when we did that, for me, that's our individuated consciousness. And we will have an origin, a first experience. Again, it's kind of an odd thing because it's like, well, aren't you talking about linearity? No, we're not, because again, evolving now, right? And so within that, what's really important, kind of cool about tuning into that origin is that because it was the first experience that we had, it colored our expression and our consciousness a lot of times. And so, what's this part? Going deep here today.
Go deep. I think everybody's.
I feel like sometimes that can be an aspect of what people are talking with karmic connections, although the karmic connections oftentimes have to do with human experience, and that's a whole other conversation as well. But another concept that I want to introduce to you all that you may be familiar with or not is this concept of the spiritual soup. And so we talk about the spiritual soup like everything that we are, everything that we've ever been, will be, like all of that in our current now that is constantly evolving. The reason why this is important is that the choices and the decisions and the things that we heal impact that soup, past, present, and future. And that's, again, expansive, and why the evolving now is the evolving now and not the static now. Because if the now is static, what's the point of healing? There isn't one. We just tune into the now and then that's it. That doesn't really make sense for me. It might for you, but for me, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And so I feel like we've gone all sorts of places. Let's bring it back to, do we have questions on origin? It's a giant topic, but are we kind of like somewhat cool with how we're laying it down? Yeah. And so Simon started talking a lot about origin about 2 years ago, and the importance of connecting with that origin. And that's part of what we do in that course, is where there's a meditation. I teach on it, but then there's a meditation where you tune into your origin. And what's really neat about that, what I've found, is when people tune into that piece of it, there's this sense that it makes for us, because it's this underlying current that's like always there. I've had people that their origin was an aurora borealis. So it's not just, and what's really cool about playing with this concept and playing with this work is that it really opens up your understanding of what consciousness is. So the idea that you could differentiate as a phenomenon and not just, so we can understand, okay, I can get Alexis that I would be a tree, but an aurora borealis or the wind or right? Because it's a phenomenon. But so it really, really stretches our connection and our understanding of what consciousness means. It means everything is conscious, even the wind. Right? The thunder is consciousness. So just really, it's a really exciting kind of thing to play with that. And everybody's is different. Sometimes their origin is more of a differentiated sort of thing. I've had clients where their differentiation is, I have one that's really kind of fun. It's like this alien cat panther thing. And so that's a lot of fun, and it makes sense with her expression and the way she expresses. Now, is she a human cat? No. But are there aspects of that really make a lot of sense? Absolutely. So it's just exciting. Yeah.
We're imagining that emoji right now. Mind blown.
Yeah. What's so fun, is part of why I love these so much, is because all of you coming together, the interaction of our individual consciousnesses that are here today, that's part of what brings the questions forward too. And like what we talk about is that everyone here is available for this kind of conversation. Whether or not you're understanding what I'm saying or what level of which you are, something within you was available to sit here and to have this. So
To hear it.
yeah. Okay, I think we're
Yeah, so let's talk to them about how we're gonna
Yes.
go through the
Do you wanna
process. Sure. Okay. All right, just get a little housekeeping going. What we'll do is Simon, she'll take a minute and Simon will come through and we'll start out with a question. And I kind of thought maybe after talking today in our session here, maybe we should ask about guides first and their role and how we can connect with them. So we'll start out with a topic like that. And we'll talk about the energetic shifts of April because I think Jenny wants to know that as well. And then what we'll do is I'll go around the room and, we'll kind of feel who's wanting to ask a question. If you don't want to ask a question, you can pass, or you can just ask, can I have a general message? And a general message would come through for you. And if you have questions maybe off that general message, then we can go further. I'll kind of help you guys along as we're going. So I'll be your guide through the experience today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how we'll start it, right? Did I miss anything? We're not doing numbers. We're going to do everybody we got, right? So we're good?
Yeah.
No numbers or anything? Okay. All right, so everybody can feel like, think about your questions or general messages, but we'll start out with this first, with Simon, do a dialogue first.
yeah.
We'll kind of get us in the groove. Yeah, I'm making a drink of water. That's a good idea.
Gosh, I drank more than I thought. Okay. Yes, we may be beginning.
Welcome, Simon. Today we have a group of participants here at Janny Lou's that would love to have some dialogue and conversation today. And we would like to start out with talking with you about guides. Can you talk about their role, maybe how to use them? How can we be open to receive support from them? Give us some information on guides.
Yes, it is a concept as if you have an energetic assistance that is on call, if you will. Yes, you can tune in to. It is so lovely to have everyone here today as well. We would like to be saying that to begin with because it's very important that what Alexis was saying was quite true. That the informations and the energetics that you come in and weave together are quite important for one another. Yes. And now we would like to be answering this question because many of you have been asking this question, what they are and the safety of which sometimes understanding what it is precisely that you are doing. And what we would like to be encouraging you to understand is that there are very many beings and energetics that are involved with any number of planets or dimensions at any given time. There is often a focus on the connection of Earth as if Earth is the only existence that is quite important, but it isn't quite that. It is all of the existences and all the planets and all the dimensional realities are quite important, and the ones that are perhaps having a bit of issues with sovereignty are the ones that are at the top of the list of having assistance. And because Earth is one of those planets and one of those dimensional experiences that have a bit of that issue with sovereignty, there's a lot of focus at the moment. Yes, there's a lot of energetics that are and beings that are wanting to come forward to have assistance. Yes, it is also an aspect of the differentiation when an individual chooses to incarnate as a human being because of the amnesia information. This is an important aspect to be understanding when you're coming in as a human being, an aspect of coming into form, because the totality of your consciousness, the totality of your beingness has not come through this physical form. There are incarnations in which you are your totality at all times. Yes. And there are other incarnations that it isn't possible in the human sphere. The human physicality isn't quite able to hold your totality, and this is part of why the amnesia occurs. Yes, there are individuals that, for a number of reasons, are able to come in more fully. It's also an understanding of when having to do with the imprinting and also having to do with the conditioning that occurs, that it is in place most solidly around the age of 7 or 8. Children, when they are quite small, they remember quite a lot more than when they're older, and part of this has to do with the conditionings and the programs that are on this earth, particularly having to do with the lack of sovereignty. Those programs are taking up the space within the form. Yes, and so it almost pushes out where you have even less space for your individuated consciousness. Yes, and why this is so important is that we come back to the whole point of guides. Yes, the whole point of the understanding. And so throughout your lifetimes and throughout your experience in this particular iteration of yourself, you will find perhaps beings or energies that you choose to work with. yes, and they're sort of specialists, if you will, yes. And there are others that this is what we speak of with guides, yes, that they are on call for you, they are assigned to you, if you will, yes, and or it isn't this arbitrary thing. It is quite a sovereign exchange. This is something that's quite important that isn't spoken about sufficiently enough. Is that you sovereignly have come into relationship prior to incarnating as this. You know what and whom your guides will be. Yes, prior to incarnating, there are times in which you develop relationships and develop interactions based on the different pathways of your development as your individuated self right now, that perhaps has additional assistants that come in and help you, and sometimes you come into partnership with, as someone so eloquently put it, it is having to do with what is the level of exchange. Yes, is it unidirectional or bidirectional? Yes, or multi-directional in some aspects. Yes. And so what we would like to be telling you is that you can tune into a guide energy, and also understanding that there are varying degrees in which you communicate with them. It isn't always necessary to communicate in a high level. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's quite helpful to be bringing them in and allowing for them, and you can simply say, it is quite important for you to be having a connection with yourself, with your energetics. Do you know what you feel like? There are very many individuals that are human beings that do not know what they feel like, and this is the first task. Because how in the world would you be able to communicate with something else if you don't even know what you feel like? Yes, you wouldn't know what it is. You wouldn't know if it changed. You need to know what your energetics feel like. And so what you can be doing is you putting your hands in the heart. This is a very beautiful centering way that human beings can do quite well. They're putting their hands in their heart and they're tuning into, what do I feel like? Yes. What is my energetics? What do my energetics feel like? Yes, this is an important thing to be developing, to understanding what your personal energetics feel like, and then allowing for you to be able to connect with once you do that and you feel strong with it, you want to know what is oneness consciousness, what is God, universe, source, whatever it is, that word you'd like to be using. It isn't consequential what it is just having to do with this interconnected largeness. Yes. And when you understand what that feels like, yes, so now you know what you feel like, and you know what something larger than you feels like, yes, and what you then be doing is you can call in your guide. I would like for the guide that is my guide, that is the sovereign relationship with me for this lifetime and for this period of my time, because sometimes there are very many guides. Some individuals have quite a few, some come online and they sort of are just observing, if you will, yes, and others are quite involved. This really is dependent on a very number of increased factors, yes. And what you want to be doing is the guide that is most pertinent and most expansive to be present for you at this time. I would like for you to come forward. I would like to come into deeper relationship with you, yes? And when you sovereignly are saying that, you may notice each of you has a different capacity of the way in which you will notice information. Everyone is able to notice information, particularly when they are choosing to and they're tuning into, they are able to notice information. This has to do with a number of reasons of why your individual form will notice it a certain way or a different way, yes? It is all quite fine the way that you're noticing it, yes? There isn't a better or worse way to do this, and what we're meaning particularly is some people will see, yes? That clear seeing. Some people will hear, some people will smell, some people will be able to write, some people will have the energetics come through them, some people will notice the signs. Not everyone can notice signs in the same way as other people. You may have or may not have had an understanding of that, but it is something to be aware of, yes? And what this all comes down to is that you can come into relationship with your guides, and the way to do that is by knowing what your energetics are, what the energetics of something larger than you are, and then you call forward the guide forward so you can get to know their particular energetics, so that you know when they come forward what they feel like, yes? And this is quite important because it helps put your mind at ease that it is quite all right to be connecting with this, yes? And these are quite important informations, and when they are coming through and the guide is coming through, you may even ask, oh wait, is that you? Yes? And you can feel it's a yes in the body. There's a mechanism that clicks into place, if you will, yes? And then what you want to be doing is, sometimes you don't necessarily need to have an intention. There's this idea that you need to have an intention when you're needing to, and you're ready to connect with your guides, as if you need to, oh yes, I am going to do this great big thing. And it isn't always the case, yes? Sometimes you're connecting with the guide because it is a correctness. And if you are listening to this and you're inclined to do it, it is because there's a correctness for you to be doing that, yes? And the idea is for their purpose is to help assist you in the alignment of your most expansive state, for your soul to express itself in the most potent and most largeness way that you were choosing in this lifetime, yes? Yes.
Thank you. That was really good.
There are very many additional aspects to this that we can speak of at another time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. We would like for you to speak on an energetic shift for April. We're feeling like there's some things going on in April. Can you discuss an energetic shift for us?
Yes, for many months, well, for quite a long time, of course, there has been changes. But since about the approximate, well, let's speak about a few significant times. Approximately 4 years ago, there was quite a increase in energetic alignment and bifurcation of timeline. Yes. There was a consolidation of timelines. This would be a much large conversation to be speaking about. We speak about that in very many other mechanisms that can be utilized and be watched and learned about. But quite simply, timelines for each individual, there's innumerable timelines. Yes, there's innumerable timelines of Earth. But what was happening is that similar timelines were coming together and collapsing into one another. It's not a negative thing in the collapsing. If they matched, they came together. Yes. And so there's a consolidation, if you will, yes? And in that consolidation, there was a bifurcation. And this happened about 4 years ago. And then what you are following that, what we would like to be understanding is that approximately, there's been very many other points, but it is helpful for us to be moving quite ahead. And then in approximately August of the last year, which is in 2023 year, there was quite a lot of choices and rectifications that were made. And what do we mean by rectification is the ability to come back on path. Yes, to have there to be a proper alignment with the soul expression and the overall mission of very many individuals. Yes, and the expansiveness of human being trajectory as a whole. And during that time, between then and now, what has been happening is very many people are waking up quite a lot more. There is quite a lot. And what we're meaning by this, what is quite helpful and quite important, is that there is the tipping point, and we have reached that tipping point. And this is what is happening this month, is that there's a lot of choosing, there's a lot of clarity. There may be a lot of things in your lives that you are recognizing that they aren't even a choice, it's just an of course. Yes, and understanding that you have an awareness, and if you do not, we would like to invite you to the awareness that it is a sovereign decision, that is a soul decision, that your human is simply, oh yes, this is simply the way it is. There isn't a necessity to have a human decision. This is one of the things that is changing, that there is just this inside of you that you just know. There's this awareness that the soul is making these choices, that the soul has an alignment, yes? And this is an aspect of what's happening in April, is that there has been a lot of the threads of the control mechanisms of the inverted matrix. We speak a lot about the inverted matrix. There are other sources and ways to see the information that we get from the inverted matrix, but at this time what we would like to be saying is that what we have been saying for quite some time is that the inverted matrix, quite simply, is when you look around and the earth looks different than the most expansive actual energetics. And what is happening now is that you're able to see it more clearly. Yes? It is no longer going to be opposite day. It will take a bit of time for there to be a rectification for many reasons, but this will be happening, and it is happening at a greater level in this month, meaning that very many people will notice that there are vast changes in their life and their lifestyle and the human beings that are around them, yes? But it isn't anything to be worried about, yes? Your most advantageous way of moving is tuning into your heart way, yes? Opening your heart way, aligning yourself with your heart way, and allowing your heart way to open up to the connection of the beings whose heart way is open, and allowing in the understanding that each choice that you're making allows for there to be an increased vibrational understanding, an increased template for other human beings and other beings to be able to open their heart way as well. Yes? Each decision that you're making is impactful for other beings as well. Yes.
All right, thank you. Is there more that you would like to tell us on that topic, or are you complete with that?
Well, we'd like to be saying there was a particular question on the specifics of a date. Yes.
Yeah, there was.
Yes.
April 8th, Janny would like to, what's happening with April 8th? There's a lot of rumblings about April 8th online.
Yes, there are solar activations. There are solar activations having to do with the lunar and the solar activation. But the solar activation has to do with your life path activation. It also has to do with your physical beingness activation. The previous activation that you had was a realignment. The previous one that came with the lunar eclipse, if you will, had to do with an internal realignment. And now it's an external. So the inside is going outside and the outside is going inside. And all of the pieces are coming together in a quite clear way, where the outside, your external life, is matching actually, but this is having to do with much of what we just spoke about. Yes,
Yes.
this is just a particular mechanism and how it is occurring. Remembering that each person is sovereign, this is quite important for you to be understanding that each individual is sovereign, yes, and augmenting your sovereignty allows for there to be alignment with many of the things. It is quite important as well to be understanding that there will still be things that don't make sense. There will be a bit of a, we don't like to be using this word quite a lot, but it is important in this case, is that a bit of, for lack of a better word, the word propaganda. And what it's having to do with is you must be able to tell the difference when something is presented to you and have a discernment of whether something in front of you is real or is not. Yes, this is what is increasing to be understanding. Very many people are focusing on, well, how do we know? How do we know? You do know. You understand energetics, and we're inviting you to have a deeper understanding of energetics, and this is how you know. Yes?
Okay, so the lunar eclipse, you said, is an internal alignment. The solar activation is an external alignment, and so those kind of converging together in a sense. Is
Yes,
that
that is.
how I'm understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, I think unless there's more to speak on, we'll go ahead and move to participant questions. How do you feel?
Yes, that would be quite lovely to be
Okay,
doing that. Yes.
great, thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to participant questions. And the notes that I'm making in the book are just a few words so that at the end, if you guys have questions, we remember a little bit about what you were saying. So, okay. Okay, I feel like to begin with is you. That's what it feels like. How do you feel? Do you feel all right with that?
Yes.
Okay, and remind me your name again.
Rebecca.
That's right. All right, Rebecca, you are ready. We're ready when you are.
I hope it's not, I know it's not selfish because it helps everything. but
That's right. It's not. You can ask anything.
I'm like so excited about my life path and where it's taking me because it just feels so now.
Mm.
And I need some guidance on where it comes from or how. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the guidance I need is.
Okay. Like it.
Yes, but you would like to be knowing where the inception of your path is?
Yes.
Oh, you are meaning you have an inkling that this may be other lifetimes, yes?
Maybe even from the start, I feel like it's all connected, right?
It is quite from the start, yes. Is that what you are asking?
Yes.
Yes, it is quite from the start. This is a bit of the aspect of why the conversation that was being had previously was begun and talked about, yes? Understanding the origin helps you understand very many things. When you differentiate, there's a desire of the, and we do not mean the word in the way in which human beings understand it, yes? What we mean in which is a light point, yes? A candle point, yes? The lantern point that guides you. And so in all of the lifetimes, in all of the experiences, and all the differentiations, regardless of what you are, whether you are a frog or a sun on some planet or a little nanoparticle, whatever it is that you've been and all the different experiences, that lantern point is still there. And what is happening at this time is very many beings are coming to this awareness of their lantern point and allowing for themselves to be fully expressed. And it is quite a lovely and beautiful thing. And this is precisely what you are thinking is precisely correct for you. But there is another thing that you would like to be knowing having to do with that, yes?
Yes. What I can do with it, maybe?
Yes. It is quite important for us also to be recognizing the excitement is a beautiful thing, and the excitement has to do with your recognition of yourself in yourself. When an individual touches themselves for the first time, it is one of the most glorious things for them to come into whom they actually are. When they touch that aspect, that beingness, that totality of themselves, that consciousness, individuated consciousness of themselves, it is quite a glorious thing, yes? And it is quite exciting to then know that you can then express that most fully in this lifetime, yes? And you are asking the purpose of it. The purpose of it is expansion, yes? And so we would like for you to be continuing and knowing that when you are in this aspect, whether it is you asking or anyone else, this question is quite valid for anyone, is that the path forward is the path forward is to be continuing. Each aspect presents itself as it presents itself, and you tune into that sensation, and then that is what guides you. Yes, it is quite important for you to be learning how to soothe your human. This is quite a lot of the importance. Alexis speaks about this quite a lot. And what we mean by soothing the human is that the human aspect of you, with all of its biology and all of its chemicals and all of the things that it produces, needs a certain amount of soothing in order for your heartway to open up, in order for your consciousness to guide it. So you find the things that are helpful for it, yes?
What are those?
Yes, some common ways for individuals is being tuned into their breath. Yes, being tuned into the fact that you breathe it is quite a natural thing, and is what's quite interesting about the fact that it is so natural is that it becomes where you don't even notice the importance of it, because it isn't something you have to think about it, but it is vital. When you tune into your breath, yes, when you tune into your breath and the way that you breathe and the air that you breathe and the tone that you breathe in and all of that sort of thing, that is a way to soothe your human, because in the way that if you breathe quite rapidly, it allows for the system to believe that there is something incorrect occurring in your environment that requires an alert, yes? If you are breathing erratically, there's also the same message. There's messages that you can be relaying to the physical form through your breath. And when you have not been noticing your breath for quite a while, and then you take a breath, it stops the mind going haywire on itself, yes? It allows for you to reconnect with yourself. It allows for there to be a stillness. It's like, oh yes, I remember who and what I am now, yes? It allows for there to be a deeper connection with the heartway. This is an aspect of the soothing. The other thing that is quite helpful, what we're meaning is connection to one another, that is quite soothing to the human. Yes, the mechanisms of control and the mechanisms of conditioning have made there to be a certain way in which it is correct to behave, act, and be, and this is not the case. And what occurs for individuals is that you then begin to think you are crazy, which is quite the plan, if I am saying so, because it doesn't match with what is perceived is normal. Yes, there's an outlier energies, and quite a lot of what is important right now for all the outlier energies to come forward, because it's allowing for there to be a freedom and to reactivate the sovereignty of all humankind comes from the outlier energy. Yes, there's very many mechanisms to soothe your human. You will find the ones that are the way that you know if it is or isn't is it expansive or contractive. Yes. And it isn't always the act or what it is that you are doing, it is how you are doing it, yes? And it is the intention behind it, yes? Is it to ignore the self or to reconnect with it, yes?
Thank you. Do you feel complete? Yeah. Okay. Is that complete, Simon? Are you?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, next person. Do you feel like you would like to go?
Okay. I have a couple things, but one for now. So I have a crystal healing bed, and I do sessions with people. And I feel reluctant at times to tell the people that there's angels of light connected to the healing with the bed. And because, kind of feeling in, some people might be overloaded with that kind of concept.
Yeah.
And so, is that just my ego self getting in the way? Or is there more to it? Does that make sense?
It is a very good question. It is a very good question because this is an evolving thing for yourself and for very many people. And what we're meaning by this is there are times in which you are in a phase of discernment where sometimes you are not sharing every little piece of what it is that's available to a certain thing. For example, with sharing that the crystal bed also has the connection with the angels. It isn't quite a dishonesty. This is important to be understanding. It's a discernment of whether or not the individual, what are they open for, yes? Understanding that they are a match for the experience, but what level of match? What is important to be understanding is that, are you comfortable with the rejection of an individual saying, oh yes, that is not for me? That is really the question. And because at this time, there's an importance of understanding that if the person was a match for the experience, they may in fact be a match for the totality of the understanding, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Even in their rejection of it, which would not happen very often for you, but even in that, it will stay in their mind, and there is something that will match for that experience from one way or another, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I don't want to create a block before they have the experience, and so I do kind of pause and feel into it, but
Yes.
I just, I like confirmation, to be sure, so
Yes,
that's
and-
why I asked.
Yes,
so.
and having the discernment is quite a helpful thing, but you will move into in the future where you're asking the individual, would you like to know the totality of what this experience is like? And you can
Okay.
do this on an energetic level if you'd like, or you may ask them as well.
Okay.
Yes, and what will happen is as you are fine tuning, and as also the energetics of human beings, this is what's quite important with your work, any of your work, yes, is that as you are moving forward, you yourself are advancing, and you yourself are evolving, yes, and you yourself are expanding, but also all of humanity is as well. And so, what is the majority of individuals are available for will increase, yes, and so there will come a time where it is quite important for you to be sharing it, because that in and of itself will be the attraction point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
There's very many of the other things that we've told you today that will be helpful with this question as well.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. You feel good? Okay. All right. Is that complete, Simon?
Yes.
All right. All right. I feel like it's going over your way. Would you like to ask a question?
Yeah.
All right.
So, what tools and discernment can I use for the one?
Are you speaking about a romantic partnership?
No.
What are you speaking on?
Abundance for the consciousness.
And you're referring to this as the one.
Yes.
Yes. We would like for you to ask a different way.
What tools and discernment can I use to create abundance with the collective?
Yes. There are a variety of things that we must speak about first, yes? What is important to have an understanding, as well as it is important to be able to drop into the body and to be having an experience with human beings, yes? It is very important for you to be opening yourself to the experience of other human beings. Is that an understanding?
Yes.
Is there sometimes a reticence to that?
Yes.
Yes, this is precisely why we would like for you to be, we would like to be inviting you to that importance. And because if you are intended to assist on the level of which you are asking about, you would not have been born into a form, yes? And while that is quite important and it will still be activated, it will still occur, yes? But understanding that it isn't an up here sort of experience, it's a here experience, otherwise you wouldn't have come into form, yes? Much of what is being healed within you as a human being is quite impactful for what you're speaking about with the co-creating abundance, because what you were talking about is how do you co-create with everyone, yes?
Yeah.
And it must occur through the human beingness in this lifetime for you. And there is a lot of beauty of interconnection that will come for you, yes? And then we can answer the question, yes? Because now you are asking the tools, yes?
Yes.
And the discernment. This is a beautiful way of asking. What sort of discernment do you need to be asking? And once you drop into your body, which you have now done, you've come out of the eye way and you've come into the heart way. And this is very important. This is change. Have you felt the change in yourself as you sit there?
Yes.
Yes. And in doing that, this is quite important, because now Now we can ask you to have the understanding of the discernment is different from this space versus this space, yes?
Yes.
And you open that heartway, and you open the heartway from the front and the back and more expansively. And then the discernment is allowing for other beings, whether in form or not in form, to come forward with the expansion of the heartway. And that is the discernment. Is an individual in the expansion of the heartway or not? That your availability, so that we do not have some of the complications that have occurred in your life. There have been some complications, yes?
Yes.
Having to do with other human beings.
Yes.
And there's a distrust of human beings, yes?
Yes.
Yes. And so what we'd like to be saying is that in connect those individuals who are not connected with the heartway, do you understand the difference?
No.
Do you have a believing that they were connected with the heartway? Or do you have an awareness that they were disconnected from that?
Disconnected from the heart.
Yes, and do you see how then what we're asking you is you are available only for interactions, just a moment. You are available only for interactions with individuals that have the heartway open, meaning that there cannot be the harm that was caused by the individuals that did not have the heartway open cannot occur with individuals that have the heartway open. Is that more clear?
No.
Do you have fear of being hurt once again?
Yes.
Yes. We would like for you to walk with us in this understanding. Are you willing to do that?
Yes.
An individual that has their heartway open honors sovereignty. Is that a clarity?
Yes.
If they honor sovereignty, they may not harm you in the ways that you have been harmed. Do you understand that?
Yes.
That is the discernment. Interacting with beings that have their heartway open, there isn't anything to fear with that. Is that a clear understanding?
Yes.
Because your discernment previously was any being, any human. We will not trust any of them, yes?
Yes.
To the point where you would rather interact on a higher level, yes? Because you still deeply want to be of service, but the idea of being so human was uncomfortable, yes?
Yes.
What we would like for you to be knowing is that you have the opportunity to stay in this, in your vessel, and allow for your understanding that the heartway will protect you in the ways that you're asking to be protected. Your discernment of being able to, and that is the tool of opening your heart, the tool of interconnected, the tool of being open to love, yes?
Yes.
Are you understanding what we are meaning by this?
Yes.
Yes, this is most important, yes.
Thank you.
Do you have further questions?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. Simon, is that complete?
Yes, that is quite a wonderful question.
It is a very good question. Thank you.
It's important for her to be understanding that you will be quite all right, yes.
Thank you.
All right. I feel like the next person is you.
Thank you. I'm Lisette.
So,
What can you tell me about the type of healing work I'm wanting to step forward to do?
You have not yet begun the understanding of what that is yet, correct?
Correct.
Yes, and you're asking for it to come forward for you?
Yes.
Yes, it will come forward. And the most important thing that for now, what for you to be doing is understanding that you are in, not everyone likes this very much, but you are quite open to it, in the training phase of your experience, yes? And as you are interweaving all of the aspects of yourself, it opens up the healing work, yes? Are you asking more specifically?
Well, I suppose, in the healing I've done, I've been trained to use certain ascended masters. But for example, I feel like it's maybe better for me to connect with the person's higher self and their guides. That seems perhaps to work better. But sometimes I switch back and forth between higher self and guides.
Yes, there are times that an individual will have a certain training because of what occurs and the becoming that you experience. And sometimes you have a training that will allow for you, it isn't something that you go back to very often, yes? But it is a layer of foundational experience of the moving forward. Yes, is that clear?
No, not so much.
Yes, your work with the Ascended Masters and this encouragement and this training and understanding laid the foundation for you to be able to do the further work. Yes,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
yes, this is what we are meaning. And so by having that experience, you know how to connect with energies that are much larger than yourself. Yes,
Yes.
which means that it's quite easeful to connect with a person's soul. Yes,
Yes.
and it is quite easeful to connect with their guides. Yes,
Yes.
because you've worked with high energy. This is what we are meaning by the foundational understanding. It does not mean that the ultimate expression of your soul is to only connect with Ascended Masters. Again, it must be understood that all of these things are a non-hierarchical experience, and there are times when people connect with higher masters, Ascended Masters, if you will, for lack of better words, that it is hierarchically better than connecting with a person's guide or a person's soul. Yes, but you are of the understanding that that is not the case. Yes,
Right.
and sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, but your work is to work with individuals of their expression and of their unfolding. This is the most important aspect. It's the individual's unfolding, which means you working in concert with them is quite helpful, because you're holding space for just the right. We have quite an interesting example. Alexis likes plants. Although it is questionable how well she takes care of them, there are. She's finding this quite humorous. Just a moment. Yes. You need to have the right circumstances in order to allow the leaf to unfurl. Yes. It needs to have sufficient water. It needs to have sufficient moisture. It needs to have sunlight. And you can coax it along energetically as well by, I know you will be a lovely leaf. Yes. And this is what we're talking about with your work, of what you will be doing. This is what you are doing. This is why the interconnection with with an individual is so powerful, because they are the leaf that are unfurling, and you are providing the circumstances to allow that to unfurl. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you are quite welcome.
Do you have further questions?
If I can ask one more.
Of course, yeah.
No matter what I do, the shielding, the grounding, the centering, I seem to be affected when I'm in a group of people by their energy. Is there something different that I can do?
Yes. When you are doing shielding, are you doing full shielding or are you doing semi-permeability?
Me, it's full shielding all around my aura.
Yes, we would encourage you to do a semi-permeability. Oftentimes, when an individual does full shielding, what occurs is that you are cutting yourself off from yourself in a way, and oftentimes from, for lack of better word, source consciousness. Yes, the oneness energies. Yes? And what happens with that is that there is a draining that occurs and you feel quite tired. And it is different sensation in those moments than when you're noticing everybody's everything. Yes? It is less specific, but it is still the same sensation of being tired. Yes?
Yes.
So you have thought that it is the same. Yes?
Yes.
But it is different. Do you understand the differences when we point them out?
Yes.
Yes. And so what we would like to be inviting you to do is to engage with the semi-permeability, meaning that you only notice the information that is necessary and is most expansive for you, and everything else is filtered out. This is also meaning that you're open to interactions that are expansive for you, so that you don't miss opportunities. Is that a clarity as well?
Yes, but I have often said that only beneficial energies can come through, but that still doesn't seem to work.
Yes, but by your description that you also feel that it is a solid shielding, even with those words, yes?
Yes, okay.
So there may be a bit of energetic confusion there sometimes. And we are not saying this is a negative thing. It is merely that we're inviting you to having a bit more clarity of when you are envisioning. Because if you say, I would like to have my friend over to the house, and when they come, you do not open the door, they cannot come to your house, can they?
Right.
So this is what we mean by you indicating that only the highest can come in, but you also envision it as being a solid shield. The two things are not compatible with one another, yes?
Got it.
Yes, and so what we will be doing now is that you are envisioning a semi-permeability, and then that is compatible with the words that you are saying. Yes?
That makes sense.
Yes, and there's also the fear aspect, yes? A bit of, not fear, what we would like to be saying is an uncertainty of like, I really want to go to this thing or be in this experience, but how will I feel afterward? Yes? And that sometimes can create obstructions, and you're just tuning into yourself and tuning into your energetics. Yes? that is an aspect. And there are very many other things that you may be doing, the different energy healing modalities that are coming forward for you to be learning about are also coming forward at this time, but you have an awareness of that. Yes.
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 Thank you.
Yes. So complete?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is that complete, Simon?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next person is you.
Me?
You.
No, I should have stood up. Hello, I'm very, very happy to be here. I was going to say that. And I'm learning from everybody's answers. I will just have a general, if Alexis and Simon would just like to speak on something they choose for me.
Yes, there is a movement of the energy from the last time that you have presented yourself. Have you noticed that quite strongly?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes.
sir. Whenever, yeah. Yes,
Yes, we are. Yes.
All of
Thank
it
you.
works.
You can feel the sun more clearly now. Yes.
Yes,
Mm.
This is your message to you that you continue. Yes.
yes,
And you allow for yourself to be the totality of yourself. You allow for your expression to be your expression. Yes. It is also important. The flowers are wanting to connect with you now.
Oh.
Yes. It is such a lovely time for you to be beginning this work, as well as in the place and time that you're in right now has quite a lot of flowers. Yes. And you go to the flowers and say, "Hello, flower. How are you?" And you allow for the flower to give you back energy, or give you back a message, or give you back an understanding. Yes.
yes,
It'd be quite helpful for you to be learning mechanisms of being able to create flower essences as well. This is quite a helpful thing for you. You have a natural ability to be working with these energies. Do you have an awareness of that?
I thought maybe.
Yes. And now that you are you're able to see the sun, yes. Now that you're able to see the brightness of life, you're able to tune into the importance of how you may be expressing. Yes.
Yes,
And your natural abilities and gifts will be opening because you can actually see now. You're not in the dark any longer. Yes.
isn't that beautiful? Yes.
Yes, it is quite beautiful. Yes, quite stunning. Yes, yes. So we would like to encourage you to be working with and learning about the flowers. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you have other further questions for?
No, no, I'm just honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. That was lovely. All right, Simon, is that complete for you?
Yes.
All right. I feel like you are next.
Merry meet, Simon. First off, I appreciate your energy. My question is, I've had a few life-changing events happen, and would like know a little message about that.
They have both been physical and within your relating way. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember the moment not too long ago that you asked for changes,
Yes,
and then these things occurred after that? Yes.
yes,
Do you have an understanding that one is related to the other?
yes.
Yes. Are you? There's a bit of trepidation. And oh, did I ask for too much? Yes.
Yes,
Yes. And at the same time, there's a heartway opening up,
yes,
and there have been blockages that have needed to be rectified. Yes.
yes,
Within the physical heart. Yes.
yes,
And those are adequately being addressed.
yes,
Are you also aware that you can tune into your cardiovascular system and assist it further?
yes,
Are you doing that adequately?
yep.
Yes. There's also, are you working with the sparkling yet?
I didn't.
Sparkling?
Yes.
Is that
There's a sparkling, there's an energy. In a way, you may call it a guide. It is a
Yes, yes.
The sparkling comes forward for you.
Thank you.
Yes, the sparkling comes forward, and the sparkling can rooter, if you will. Yes.
Yes,
But what is also quite helpful is for you to be knowing that the physical form will come into a greater alignment, to allowing for it to be beneficial. There was a moment of choice as well with how much additional time you would be having on the earth. Yes.
yes,
Are you aware of what you agreed to?
I am.
Yes. Are you excited to be here for quite a lot longer?
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited for to see what happens. I do light work,
Yes.
so yeah.
Oh, that is the sparkling.
Ah, okay.
Yes, it is
okay.
quite lovely. The sparkling is quite lovely. Yes, it is important. You have a specific question. Would you like to be asking it?
So my grandson passed away.
Yes.
January 3rd. 8 weeks old. That is my question.
Yes, you would like to be knowing why this occurred, yes? It feels a vast unfairness for a form to come into beingness and for then the form to be born and be brought into physicality. What would the purpose of that be, yes? There are times when souls come because they have a very important task to do, and that has to do with altering the lives of the beings around it. Have you been connecting with him?
Yeah.
And how is that feeling for you?
It's getting an adjustment per se. It's kind of hard to explain.
It's adjustment of expectation.
Yeah.
There is an expectation that you would interact with this being. Oh, this being, you knew that this was coming. You knew that this being would be your grandson, yes?
Yes.
Oh, and this is the confusion that you don't understand why he would come to you and say, oh, I'm coming to be your grandchild, and then now he's not here in the physical form, yes?
Correct.
Oh, yes. Yes, we can see how that is quite distressing, yes? There's also an importance for you to be understanding that you're in a very unique situation in the way in which you can help your family, yes? And being able to help both parents, yes?
Yeah.
Have they been open to you helping them sufficiently?
Yes.
Yes, it is a quite beautiful and important thing. Yes, it is also important to be understanding that there will be an evolution of consciousness that is occurring. There's also a seeding of the energies. May we speak very openly?
Yes.
Yes, we sometimes like to have caution because what we are going to be speaking about has to do with the mother, and because she's not present, we have caution of how much information we give of other people's information, yes?
Correct.
But there is an importance with the energetics of the child seeding the womb, if you will, yes? It changed the energetics of her physicality, of her womb, yes?
100%.
Yes, and this is allowing, there will be future children, yes? And this is very important that he did this for his sibling. It is very important. Yes?
Yes.
Sometimes this can be done without there needing to be a completion of term, yes? But sometimes it needs to be, yes?
Yes.
And we have a recognition that on a human level this is quite difficult. There's also, we would like for you to be understanding that there's an evolution of the soul of the child. The way that he's presenting right now is in your expectation, is in being able for you to have had your grandson, yes, and you can connect with him in that way. There will come a moment when he will present to you in his evolved consciousness way, where you will see him in a different way, in a different beingness, yes? And you will work with him. And it will be quite a beautiful thing. And this is important too, because you would not recognize him in the same way that you recognize him now, yes?
Yes.
And you know this, but it is a quite human thing to be experiencing everything that you're experiencing at this time, yes?
Yes.
And it is also quite important that you now have the energetics that you can live beyond loss, yes?
Yes.
And when individuals, we know an individual that knows how to do that and carries that signature quite strongly, and everyone she meets, she carries that signature, that you can in fact live when you think that you cannot, yes? And this is very important to carry this signature for other human beings, yes?
Yes.
And so when you meet anyone, whether or not they know, you carry that it is possible to continue. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Is there anything further you would like to be asking?
No, thank you.
That's powerful. Is that complete for you then, Simon?
Yes. Are you quite all right?
Yeah, yes, I'm okay. Is that complete for you as well? Are you
Yes,
feel
thank
good
you.
with that? Okay. All right. I feel for you so much. There's so much I want to say, but we'll wait till afterwards. Okay, so I feel like Susie, you're next, is what it feels like. Yeah.
Okay, Simon, a general message, please.
Just a moment. We are concluding with the previous energies. There's something we would like to be sharing with the gentleman previous, yes?
Okay.
Alexis can be speaking to you more about this afterward if you would be liking, but there is an ability to tune into timeline work. Do you do any timeline work?
I do not.
Yes, there is a timeline in which the child did grow and have a lifetime experience. It is possible to tune into that timeline and create it into a bubble and allow for that bubble to come into the consciousness of each being that's important to it. And what we mean by that is yourself and the both parents, yes, and anyone else that would be positively affected by having this experience. And so while it does not change the fact that his form is not here and not growing, it is having the experience of that it is also real. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, we can speak about that further. Yes. Yes, that is a completion now at this time. We may be moving to Susie, and she's asking for a general message now.
Yes.
Would you like to put down the sadness yet?
Very much.
Yes, it is time. There are times in which it is quite important to be in the sadness, and there is other times when there's a completion of the energy. And when it is completed, it's time to put it to the side. There's an importance for you to be able to experience the things that this gentleman has been sharing, and you quite understand that very deeply, yes? So it is time. This is what we would like. This is your message. This is what we'd like to impart to you.
We need a box of tissues. Is there tissue in that room? I think all of us are needing it. Yeah. Hold on a minute, Simon. We need some tissue.
Will you be helping her get water, please?
Yes. Alexis, get water?
Yes.
Okay. Feel good? All right. See how I know that applies to you. I know I need it. Okay. Thank you. Okay. We are ready to continue when you are. Okay, so putting down the sadness.
What is important for that to be an understanding, just to reiterate for everyone, is that there are times for energies to be in an energy, and then there are other times when there's a completion of an energy, yes. At this moment, it's very expansive for the man and his family to be in sadness, yes. It's an expansive experience. It's an important experience. And then there's an evolution of that experience, an evolution of the emotions, and then there's a completion of it, where there is a lingering. Of course, there is a grief is a different thing than sadness. And sometimes sadness matures into grief, and when grief is utilized well, and it is mobilized well, it is an active participant and a wise offerer of wisdom and knowledge, yes? And it's important to be working with it in that way, so that it is a potent offering, a continual relationship with experience, a reminder of love and connection, yes? Well, this is quite different than sadness that disperses energy, doesn't allow for it to be potent, it doesn't allow for there to be a mobilization, doesn't allow for there to be an expansion, yes? And this is what we are speaking about, yes. We may be continuing to the next person.
Is that complete for you? Yeah. All right. Okay. I feel like you're next if you would like to ask a question.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to partake in this. That's my first experience. So I don't know if my question is so much as framing it well, but knowing that if I do have a guide and things are kind of humming along, are obstacles or like wrong people to be like, do guides do things to like throttle things sometimes? I just feel like I don't know how much guides focus on this realm's timeline. Like,
Are you asking if they prevent pain?
no, I'm trying to understand. Like I seem to have obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, and I just wonder if it's delaying something, if my timing's not right, and I'm trying to recognize things that I think are lights on the right path that I'm supposed to go towards. And then when crazy things happen, I have to think, am I going too fast? Is it supposed to change the momentum that I'm currently at? I just don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel I don't have a good relationship with time in any sense. And I just want to know how good my guide may have a sense of time.
Okay.
Yes, are you also asking if the obstacles were put into place by your guide as a way of assisting you?
Yeah,
Yes. Just a moment, we will be assessing the full situation. Is that all right?
yeah. Or maybe I'm using the wrong vernacular. A guide or something, some other energy.
Yes, we understand what you're meaning. If it is a positive experience, or if they're, oh, well, you are thinking that it is a positive experience, perhaps, yes?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that there are certain beliefs that seem to be congruent or not congruent with the obstacles that come into the path?
No, they seem to be very related. Like the obstacles that come my way, I tend to make the silver lining work. I just don't feel like I just feel like my timing's off.
Yes. Do you have a belief that there has to be perfect timing in order for yourself to be fulfilled?
Not perfect, but optimal.
Just a moment. Do you at times feel as though you have jumped a bit in time?
No. Well, my ideas are, and I will say for like the last 4 or 5 years, like my projections have been pretty spot on.
And also for the past 4 or 5 years, you have also been having a bit of a slowdown, yes? Or has that been longer than that?
Yes. I feel like I've been trying to do saying the same thing for like 5 years ago as I am now. And I'm nothing, there's no real delta.
Yes. There's a variety of things that are important. Are you tuned into the importance of, you are speaking specifically about your work and also your relationships, yes? Yes. There is an invitation that we have for you of understanding that there has been a bit of interference for the past 4 or 5 years, yes?
I would say I would just define my chunk of time of why in the last 4 or 5 years. And most recently, I would say in the last year I've been going through a lot of life changes and trying to execute on things, and I just feel like every time I try, something happens and delays me back and pushes me back. And maybe there's other timelines going on that are always forever shifting, and I'm just on this, my timeline is being shifted as well. I just need to know if it's normal or not, or if I'm just not on time.
Ah, yes, now we are coming to the question, yes. Because what we're noticing as well is that you have the ability to time travel. And you may not have fully realized this, which is why quite interesting that you're saying you do not have a good relationship with time, because you would like to come into a greater relationship with time. Is this accurate?
Yes.
Have you there are beings that do quite well with working with the energy of Saturn. Is this something that you have done?
No.
This is something that can be a bit helpful for individuals who have the ability to move through time, yes? There's also, when you recognize this, when you awaken to the fact that you are quite an adept in your soul way, quite an adept time traveler. When you do that, what you will be doing is having a greater understanding of your navigational power with time, yes? And part of what is happening is that you are receiving messages, for lack of a better way, of the future way, yes? And that does not always then match with the delay, yes? There's also an ability to clear out. Do you work with that, where you clear out the timeline that you are in?
I don't know what that means.
Yes. What is most optimal for an individual is when they are on a timeline moving forward, and it's the most expansive timeline, yes? You would like for the pathway to be cleared of any obstructions. Are you actively doing that?
I think I've been introduced to people and not understanding human relationships to be able to do that, and that seems to be constantly changing, I think, for the last year.
The human relationships.
Mm.
Yes. What we'd like to be doing, and this may be a simple thing, and it may be something that you do not like to be doing, but you can do it if you would like to be doing it, is imagining your life like a meadow, yes? And imagining your path as a beautiful path in front of you. And you can notice ahead of you the boulders and the rocks and perhaps the pitfalls, yes? And there's sometimes some cliffs as well, yes? What I'd like you to be doing is tuning into the energy of the sun and clearing that forward and allowing for there to be an easefulness to the path. Because one thing is to be having interactions that are important for you that perhaps are different than what your mind is wanting, and another is for there to be interferences, yes? And then secondly, what you're asking is, have you brought your relationship with your guides online sufficiently?
I don't know.
Would you like to be doing that?
I think I should.
Yes, because it would answer very many of your questions, because then some of what you're asking for will be rectifying itself. What we are noticing is that there have been interference energies that have put things in your path that do not need to be there. Life does not need to be as hard as it has been, yes?
Thank God.
So what you're asking, is it normal to keep hitting your head against the wall? It is not. We just need to help you move a bit to the right. Yes. Coming into relationship with your guides, there's one in particular that is a bit shouting even, that would like for you to be connecting with them, yes?
Who is
Yeah. Can we know names or anything, or anything for her to
any
connect?
indicator,
Yeah.
like visual or name, how to reference, pronoun, I don't know. Just let them know I'm not trying to piss them off. I'm just trying to understand stuff.
Oh, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a very loving, it's the most loving sort of parental energy you could think of. It is not controlling. It is simply the love for love of purity, yes? That is what it is. this being. They're indicating that it would be quite all right for you to be calling them Orin.
Orin?
Yes. Would you like to be knowing what it is presenting itself, what Alexis is noticing it as she is noticing it from a human filter, yes, as it presents itself. It is a bird-like being, yes.
Yeah.
You are aware of this,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Has there been trepidation to allowing for the relationship to increase?
No, just,
Haven't done it.
mm-hmm.
This has to do with the interference energies. When you just don't get around to something, or it just is a bit too hard, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we'd like to be doing is you aligning with, you can utilize the energy of the sun. There's also very many expansion principle meditations that Alexis has in different sources that are in free way and in very many ways, and you can use the energy of the expansion principle to be clearing the path as well if you'd like to be, or you can use the energy of the sun. And doing the meditation, doing the exercise that we invited you to could be quite helpful to be connecting with your guide now, yes?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Simon. Yeah, we complete.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. You
General message.
want a general message? Okay.
Are you ready for yourself to move into expansion, or would you like to stay in the stagnation that you have chosen?
Ready to move.
Yes, it is quite important to be asking these things at times, because many times you do not recognize where you are, yes? And when you recognize it, it's, oh yes, I recognize that I am here, but I did not know that I was here, yes? There are specific questions that you are inquiring about as well, yes? Would you like to be sharing that?
There are a few things going on.
Yes.
My husband passed away last year. I've been trying to move on and, don't know what is happening, and what is the next thing to do, and everything seems like just life is happening to me and I feel like I have no control on anything, and it's just been through some health challenges and doing well. Just want to know what's happening and what can I do better to do well with it, whatever it is presented by universe.
Yes. It is important for, have you done the sufficient work to close the loops with your husband? It is quite open still, yes?
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of confusion, yes?
Yeah, the way he passed and why it happened, and he was so healthy and all that, so it really bothers me still to this day.
Yes, it is important for you to allow for that energy to come forward, because your health challenges are related to the confusion that you're not allowing for yourself to bring forward, yes? Does that make an understanding? Being able to express it, do you feel you have expressed it sufficiently? The pain and grief that you are feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you feel that you hide it a bit still?
I'm afraid that it might affect my health if I just stay in grief or.
Yes, it is affecting your health to not feel it. There is a wailing that is necessary.
Trying to close the door.
Yes, you need to open it first. There needs to be an opening. There needs to be, do you understand what we mean by a wailing? That sound that comes from an individual when all of the grief and all of the pain and all of the unfairness and all of the anger and all of the sensation comes out of your body in a sound and in a wetness, in a wetness of the eyes. Yeah. It does not need to be occurring in this moment, but it is important for you to be allowing yourself that time to do that, to allow the energy to move through your body to kick and to scream and to shout of the unfairness of it all, yes? You need to allow the energy to move out of your body. Because once you're able to allow the energy to move out of your body, then you can allow yourself, there are certain rectifications that need to be made in terms of your relationship with your husband, yes? Was there a bit of uncertainty there? Yes, and that is causing you a lot of discomfort, the fact that there is an uncertainty there in the relationship towards the end, yes? Yes. It is important for you to allow for all of the emotions and all the sensations that you're feeling to come out of your body, because then you will be able to connect with him in a way of understanding that it is okay to, all of the things that you're feeling, all of the changes that were occurring within the interaction, yes? And then it will allow for the important messages that he has for you now. Do you have an awareness that he has messages for you now? You must move the energy out of your body first, yes? You must move that grief out of you first. And then you can have an awareness that you didn't do anything wrong. Do you have an awareness of that? These are
I didn't do anything wrong.
Yes.
I feel like I did.
Yes, we are aware of that. When you tune into your heart way, do you understand that decisions are made simply from the purity of a decision? Yes. There are things that unfold regardless of the actions that an individual can take. Do you understand that?
I just wish I didn't fight with him so much.
Yes. It is so quite all right that you did, yes. This did not cause his passing. Do you have an awareness of that?
It did.
It did not. There was a heaviness that had nothing to do with you, yes.
And why he died so young?
Oh, we know the answer to this is much more complicated, yes. There are very many reasons why people need to have an experience going forward, yes. But it's quite important for you to allow for this to move through you, because your health is being negatively affected by your fear that allowing it out will affect your health, yes.
So how do I go through it? What do I do?
Precisely what we are doing, what we are talking about, allowing for it to be something that could be quite helpful for you is writing it all out. Writing and writing and writing and writing and writing, because you have a bit of trepidation of burdening other people, yes. And while
What? Positive, negative?
everything, you must allow the things that you perceive as negative to come out, so you can allow for the other things to be transmuted, yes. Do you understand what we mean by transmuted? Becoming from one thing to another thing, yes. You must allow for yourself the forgiveness, yes? Because if you do not forgive yourself, you will remove yourself from the equation of this experience, of this living experience. What is also important to be understanding is that this forgiveness is something that had been written for quite a long time for you to be able to be having, and this was one of the pathways of that forgiveness, yes, this experience that you are having, yes. There's quite a lot in the continuing, but you must do this first. Your heart way needs to open, but it cannot open until you allow all of the anger and all of the trepidation and all of the sensations that you have inside of you that you think no one can feel, but it is quite strong, yes. You need to allow for it to be removed from you, yes. You can stand in the shower and imagine a golden light of the sun encircling you and covering you and allowing for each cell to be coded in that. And this will allow for the grief and all of the pain and all of the blame that you have on yourself to be removed from your form. Yes. There's also an invitation to something that is a bit against what you've always thought, is that paradox does in fact exist. And what paradox is that one thing can be true and the opposing thing can also be true at the same time. Yes. Yes. There's much to work through and you will be doing it. We do believe that you have the capacity to continue. Yes. Is there anything further at this time?
I just want to know if my kid's gonna be okay.
Of course they will, yes. There's an awareness when they came in that this would be part of their journey. Yes. They knew that this is the way it would be. Yes. Yes. It is quite all right. It is quite all right, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Simon. Okay, let's end with you. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Simon. It's nice to talk to you again. Gotta get my emotions.
Yeah. No, it's okay. We can all just take a deep breath. Go back to what you were talking about. A deep breath in and release it out. Yeah.
Wanted to say I've been working on what we talked about last time. My question today is there anything in the Akasha records from my past life that could actually help me with my soul journey in this life?
You know the answer to that, don't you?
I guess, I'm not sure.
Yes, you are. The information around specifically a Mayan lifetime. Yes, are you aware of this?
But I didn't.
A Mayan, yes.
A Mayan
Yeah.
lifetime?
Yes. Remembering that you don't need to know all the details. Sometimes it is a bit difficult to know all the details of an experience, but knowing that there can be you're sending love and opening the heart way, your heart way, and sending energetic understanding to that part of yourself, yes? This is what is being asked this time. For there to be a resolution of energetic resources, that there's a lot of pulling from that energy, from that lifetime, for there to be a conclusion to any pain that was emanating from that experience, yes? And when you do that, it allows for the gifts that you had in that lifetime to come forward more fully, yes?
Okay.
And what that has to do with, would you like to be knowing what it has to do with?
I'm sorry I didn't hear.
Would you like to be knowing what it has to do with?
Yes, I would.
Yes, having to do with holding ceremony. Do you have an awareness? Have you been feeling an intrigue to hold ceremony and unsure of what that in the world would mean?
Yeah, kinda.
Yes, yes. So this is why it's coming forward, because that lifetime, you have several lifetimes that very much enjoyed the act of ceremony, yes?
Yes.
Yes, and what that has to do with is connecting with the sacred, yes? Connecting with the sacred in whatever way, and allowing there to be an offering and an interconnection. It can be quite simple, yes? Yes.
May I ask another question?
Yes.
Is there a guide that I can actually talk to maybe to help me along with this process?
Yes. Oh, you would like to be knowing more detail about it, yes.
Yes.
You can be doing the process that we indicated earlier of tuning into your energetics, yes? Tuning into the oneness energetics, or whatever word you have, for universe, God, whatever it is, yes? And then you ask for the guide that is most correct for you at this time to come forward. But yes, there is an eagerness for them to come forward for you at this time, yes?
I've been told I have many guides that I have around me, but trying to connect with them, I have
a harder problem with that than I do knowing they're around me.
Yes, you know that they're around you and you thank them, yes?
All the time.
Yes, and there's an awareness that they of course know that you thank them, but what you also need to be knowing, and you know this already, but we would like to be saying out loud, is that those little Easter eggs, if you will, that come forward, those are from them, yes? Those little things that don't always make sense, those little invitations, those little things that pop forward, those little shimmerings, if you will, yes?
Yes.
Those are from them, yes?
Yeah, I get quite a few of those.
So would you then say that the communication with them is actually quite good?
Yes, I will. Yeah.
Yes. So this is the awareness for you all to be understanding, and for you specifically to be understanding that things don't always look the way we want them to look, but they are quite helpful in the way that they come forward for us, yes?
Yeah.
While it would be lovely to be able to, in individual's mind, it would be lovely to quite clearly know precisely what the guide is saying, yes?
Yes, that's my problem. I want to go.
But it doesn't always need to be that way, yes? Yes. And the
Yeah.
more that you have the awareness of the things that you get and the abundance of it, it is sort of like that with abundance, yes? When you say, I want abundance, it's says, well, your beingness is abundance, so you already are that, yes? It is tuning into what is true already and allowing for it to be a truth and allowing for it to be augmented, yes?
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Feel complete?
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
Is that complete, Simon?
Yes, quite a lot of wonderful questions today.
So
Beautiful.
good.
We thank you for each opening your hearts and to one another and to us. This is quite an important thing that you do for us and that you do for humanity when you're able to share yourself, where you're able to open yourself. Yes.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Simon.
Welcome back. You were gone a long time, so I was
That
hoping.
felt
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. There was a lot that
Holy
happened.
cow.
Okay, yes. There you go. Deep breath. Give you a second to come back into your body. That was a while. I kept looking at the time going, well,
Wow.
but Simon was going and you seemed all right. So, okay, yeah. At one point I wanted to ask, like, are we good? Are you doing good? Are you still
Oh, he
good
would
there?
tell you. So we sometimes ask, and he'll always say she's fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, so much. I don't even know where to begin. Yeah.
You're related to each other.
Yes.
Yeah, and you probably didn't know that.
I was gonna say sister, and then I okay.
Yeah, and I bet you
Okay.
didn't know that.
I didn't.
Yeah,
When they
because
walked in.
when they came in, they
No.
introduced to me that way, but not to you.
And I
You wouldn't
didn't
know.
see it because now looking at you, I see it. But at first, I didn't see it. It's the eyes. You know
Yeah.
that though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow! Thank you so much for sharing your. Yeah. Thank you.
Your loss. And thank you for sharing your loss.
Oh, there's.
That's not always easy to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and everybody's questions were amazing and beautiful. And if you do need to go because we went way over, please do so.
But if you want to, does anyone want to ask or have a comment about some of your experiences? If you would like to feel like a wrap up at all, I mean, feel free if you need to leave or if you want to stay and have an experience wrap. Yeah.
What
What
I
would you
like
like to
about this
share?
situation, and when I'm in groups like this,
Yeah.
is everybody helps
Yeah.
each
Isn't
other.
that the truth?
You know, there's a
So
connection
much.
to all the information that feels really good, and so I want to thank all of us for being here today because
Yeah.
it's amazing how
Yeah.
it synergistically
Yeah.
happens. You know, so thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
I like
you.
that a lot. Yeah, we all get so much
Mhm.
nuggets from everybody's
Mm-hmm.
experiences and questions and sharing. Thank you. Yeah.
And the combination of energies is part of what makes us available to ask the things that we ask too.
Yeah.
That's just
Going back
really
to the
interesting.
synergy word, right?
Yeah,
It is
you
the
know, if there were
combination.
different
and
people
to be
here, there'd be
held.
different questions.
100%. No.
Like even if
100%.
if half of you were here and a different, you know,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. How did your guys' experience feel? Any questions over here for you guys at all?
I don't have questions, but I just want to say that I did the shielding, like while you were speaking to
totally
someone else,
understand.
and I just felt so much better. I readjusted my shield, just
Yeah.
like Simon said.
Oh,
thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool.
So many times we feel like when we're shielding ourselves, it is to put you know, this like iron kind of bubble like thing around us, right? And it was really good for him to say, because the energy was probably coming in and then staying there and nowhere to exit, nowhere to flow. So I loved that message. Yes,
Too, and I
that's
love
really
that I
good.
could use that.
Yeah, I could use that too. I loved it.
Everything that
Me
was
too.
just-
I was
Yeah.
questioning
And
what
you
I do
too?
too. Yeah.
And the last time I was here, I got the same thing from everybody saying, it hit me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
doesn't
felt,
it?
so maybe every time we come to this, the people that are here, we
Yes.
share
Yeah.
a piece of whatever everybody gives. That's good. That's going on in our hearts or something. I
Yep.
love that.
When
Yep.
you were saying you wanted to, like, you were helping heal people, learning to do that, I was thinking, oh, I'm open to that. But then it was like the block, you know? So when we were like,
Yeah.
oh, lighten it a little, I was like, oh, yeah, because then you could be more aware of who needs it maybe or something
Right.
too.
Oh,
Not just
interesting.
like the good coming in, but like
Yeah.
others that are like, eh.
Like,
Yeah. I like that a lot. It's really good.
I'm not here.
And I wanted to
Your time travel.
my
like,
hand
what is
on
it?
it.
That's so
It's
smart,
right,
because
because I felt-
my
I
like
felt
disability
your energy,
in
like I
this
said,
realm
just
is I can't read maps. I can't,
Oh.
I can get lost. I've literally gone the wrong direction in an elevator. Like,
Okay.
I have no navigational sense whatsoever. And the fact I don't even know where to start with time.
But you don't have to have navigation.
Well, it's because she's
Just
moving
one
all
of
the
those
time.
ones that-
It's because you're
Yeah,
constantly moving. It's
interesting.
like this flickering. That's just always. It's like flickering, flickering,
and
flickering,
then the
constantly
times of the
moving,
flickers are
constantly
different lengths
moving.
of time, too.
Yes, and it's just this
Wow.
this like a constant moving where you almost. It's a tricky thing. I mean, I love time, and it's one of my favorite topics to teach on. Talk about, mentor, all the things. So if you want to talk later, we definitely can do that.
What is your like mentorship and like more experiences with you? Like,
She's got
what does
all
that
the
look like?
things.
Yeah, that's a
She's
great
got all the
question.
things. Yeah.
So I do all kinds of things. So we do this obviously here, and I also have something called Bardo, which is basically this but online. So it's twice a month, and what's cool? So these are shared, online. People don't see you, but they hear your stories, and it's meaningful. The Bardo's private, so you buy a pass, you show up. It's like a 2-hour experience twice a month, and so that's one thing that you can do. There's all of the courses that are a la carte, and most of them are passive courses. So you buy the course, you watch the content, you do the thing. There's the expansion principle, which is the main way that I work with people and work with groups, which is energy healing training in this particular energy that we channel. So we attune you to this energy, and then we train you on how to do it. There's modules, there's live calls, that's the main way to work with me. What's kind of cool about that is that it isn't just for a person who wants to be a practitioner, although it works great for that. It's also really wonderful for personal growth. And then eventually you end up sharing it anyway, because it's just the byproduct
No, you do.
of
Yeah.
that. And then I do have private mentorship as well, and so we can talk about that if that's something that's of interest to you. So
And
yeah, did I cover?
you
the main
didn't say anything
things?
about your website. Maybe people could find that.
Oh,
Where would they find all this stuff?
oh my gosh.
I tried to find whatever this was in the back of the book. It didn't
Share
work.
your website.
So one day I will make it easy for people to find me.
Oh, yeah. That's smart.
Yeah, so we're actually, funny story is I've been working on the website and having it do a certain thing, and it's not doing the certain thing. What are the best ways? So if you're on social media, Instagram is probably one of the most up-to-date. It's the thing that I keep the most up-to-date, and it's the best way to contact me. If you do that, if you do
And it's
Instagram,
under your name.
it's under my name, Dr. Alexis Edwards. Best way to contact me, all the things. You can also email me with it, which is dralexis@gmail.com. That's something for me to talk to Adam about, because I think Adam's her husband. I think we can change the page there because it's from an old website and you can't get to it.
That's not what's in here.
Yeah,
Your email
so
address.
we need to fix all those things,
Yep.
and I think that's pretty easy, but I don't know.
Okay. Yep. We'll make
He
a note.
publishes books,
Okay.
so.
Yep. Okay. Got it. And then obviously you have the book. If you wouldn't mind holding that up, that's here
Yeah.
at Jani's.
So
the expansion
it's,
principle goes into.
and then
Easy read.
the course
Yeah.
website right now, it's expansionacademy.thinkific.com. Is that correct? That's correct. expansionacademy.thinkific.com.
That's a whole mouthful.
Yeah.
It is. So you can write it, or I can write it, or just go to
It'll be also on the
Instagram. Yeah.
YouTube.
Oh yeah, there
But
you
you
go.
guys, could you guys go to YouTube and it'll be on the video
That's
today.
smart. Everything was,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
are-
So you guys can go and then you can write it down and make your little notes at home
Yeah,
or whatever.
so
But
the-
you need cards.
yeah.
We need to do that too.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, we're doing a whole bunch of stuff.
So,
Okay.
she went away, but I want to. I guess I'll speak to her in a second because I
For the
can
time.
tell her again. Yeah, just the timeline, but also the interference stuff. And so it's interesting that interference energies came up today with him talking. And I feel like he talked a couple of times about that kind of thing. I think we talked about the inverted matrix a little bit.
Yeah, he
Just-
threw in the inverted matrix,
yeah,
which I hadn't
so-
heard in a while. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I think that was at the beginning.
Yeah,
There's so much.
Interference energies are really fascinating, and that's lessening a lot.
Mhm.
But that's one of the things why my stuff is so convoluted and complicated. And really, there's no reason for it to be that complicated. There really isn't, but it is. And I keep trying to like make it not be complicated, and one day it will resolve itself.
Yeah.
I hope it's very beautifully simple and easy.
The book
One
is,
thing
yeah.
about like following your heart, like asking why, you know.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Gives you great practices, and they're not difficult to do. They're hard emotionally to just do it because we sometimes have our blocks, but they're very easy processes to go through. The book's really good. Yeah.
I want more. I was like, where's the next one?
Yeah. And
On my computer.
Yeah, I was going to say she has it. We're getting close.
Are you located here?
I am. I live in Ashland right now.
Okay.
Yep. But I'm up here, and we're looking at for the winter. I took a break from coming to Janie's, but I'll be here more, and I'm around. And
Yeah. Done
Yeah.
a few events in Ashland at Soundpiece and hope to do one up in Grants Pass we're trying to work on right now at Serendipity.
oh, that's right.
So we're working. We're trying to work our way in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I feel that there's other things. Oh, the podcast. I know.
Oh,
I'm getting
yeah,
all
we
this
can talk about the
information. Just come back to the. So you need to know how to find this. So this is Expansion Principle Institute on YouTube. That's
Yep.
how you find us on YouTube.
And you
Expansion
guys will
Principle
know
Institute.
because when you type
because
it
it's the
in,
name of
that
the book.
thumbnail will look like that. But the Expansion Principle Institute will have this. Just start there. Everything else will be on this video.
And podcast. It's
Yeah.
gonna be-
Podcast is Seeds of Expansion.
Seeds of Expansion.
She might, she has one
She might.
more, right?
I think so.
Do that.
I'm supposed to bring more, but she has one. And then the book is on Amazon, and the podcast is really good. We have like 52 episodes, I think.
Yeah, and you've been adding.
Yes, the idea is to have one
strong,
every
so,
week.
yeah.
So last year I only published 4. And I'm like, I think that we'll maybe make more this year. So far we have, and so we'll continue. The idea is to get close to 100 by the end of the year. So,
Yep.
what's really great about them is like it's very much a seed of expansion. So each episode gives you a little tidbit of some topic. There are some meditations and some processes and things like that. There are transmissions, so EP energy transmissions that are on there that you can just listen to over and over again if you want. That really helps just kind of like clear you and tune you and like just give some peace. And then there's some cool processes like the blueprint processes on there, and there's inner
template? I think
child.
there's a template.
A
or something on
template.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, the inner child healing is on there.
There's a lot of. Yeah. There's a lot of.
Oh, I love that one. I have to redo that one. I've heard that the sound isn't that great on that one, and I did not know that, so we got to do that. We'll add it to my list. Yeah, and I actually do. I do private healing sessions, and I do private channeling sessions as well. So that's both things. I was an acupuncturist for many years as part of what I didn't talk about. I am retired from that and really, focus on the energy work and mentorship and that sort of thing. But my background is in Chinese medicine, and in Florida, which is where I lived, we're considered primary care providers. So I did that. I was probably in practice, 11, 12 years, and I loved it. But a lot of what I did was not just the needles. We also really worked on energetics, and I'm shamanically trained and do all kinds of cool stuff. So, yeah.
We're all like that acupuncture because of the hitting the energy.
It's
points and stuff.
amazing. I still do it, but with, what is the sound thing called?
The tuning forks.
The tuning forks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't put needles in people here, but I can do that. So,
Nice.
So thank you for being here. Do we have any other
Thank you.
Yeah,
questions? Any
further
other
comments,
thoughts?
thoughts?
So we can catch this on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that'll
Thank you.
probably get posted in a couple days. So
Yeah.
yeah, just gotta
Awesome.
render it up.
Okay, thank you so
Thank you.
much. I love
All
you.
right, thank you, everybody.